I like the channel P's World, and I'm going to use his clip from this white woman. She's literally talking about how whatever white woman that you are dating and mating with and married to, how she can turn on her tears and you could be in some trouble with the police. And this is the truth. And I remember I had a co-worker somewhere in the 2000s. I believe he still lives in my area. And dark skinned FBA brother, always been a little bit of chubby, you know what I'm saying? But he got nothing but white baby mamas, you know what I'm saying? And I remember I started hanging out at his house and whatnot with his white baby mama, and she was nice and whatnot. And he would come over my house. He's still a cool dude to this day. But this guy got Becky fever, man. This guy only deal with Beckies, you know. I mean, I think he's got a lot of kids. I think one of his kids is a black woman, but it's from a black woman. But he basically decided to, only deal with Becky. You know what I'm saying? And so he would tell me how they would get into arguments and whatnot, and if somebody called the police, the local police would show up. Two white cops. They used to do two at two patrols. They don't do that anymore. I don't know why. And they would show up, and she would either make up a lie, or she would say, he's just yelling, he's just acting crazy, whatever. And she knowingly knew that the cops would just take him outside, punch him up a little bit, and let him go back inside the house. When he told me this story, I looked at him like he was absolutely insane, and I did not have any words. He was like, yeah, they just beat my ass because they hate seeing me with a white girl. And I was like, they never arrest you? He goes, no. He was like, them white boys are just haters. And I was like, who would take a beating just to get interracial sexual coochie from a white woman? Like, I've never understood this dude. Listen, I have met so many strange people in my lifetime. Like, this dude would take a beating. I don't know about all of them. I think he had at least like three different white baby mamas and whatnot. But he would literally take a beating whenever she would. Yeah, they would get into a loud argument. Somebody would call the cops, or she would just call the cops on him because she wanted the cops to whoop his ass, and she knew that he was getting his ass whooped. I'm telling you, I've met some strange characters in my life. So listen to what this white woman is saying about dating Becky, because this is something all these channels don't want to talk about. This stuff is still going on. That guy told me that the guy I used to hang out with, that was in the 2000s. That's not that long ago, man. You have all these channels that are pushing the brothers to be with a Becky, but here we go.
Are a white woman and you are dating, in love with, married to a black man, I want you to listen up. There are certain things that you need to know. And I don't think this is spoke about enough. But the most dangerous thing in this world are the tears of a white woman. And
I don't see the most dangerous thing in the world, but I get what you're saying.
If you truly love the black man that you are with, you need to know that you need to have his back and protect him at all costs, including protecting him from yourself. And what do I mean by that? My son was dating a white woman. My son is biracial. They got into an argument in public, and she started to scream and cry. And my son immediately left the scene.
That's what I like to hear. Yours, you raised it right. You raised it right. He said, if you're crying, I'm out. There's no way I'm catching me up with this bullshit.
She was outraged. She couldn't believe my son left. My son left because my son knew that if he stayed there and this woman was crying and screaming at him, a black man, there was not going to be any questions asked. He was going to be thrown to the ground. He was going to go to jail. It was not going to be any questions asked because this white woman was crying and screaming about him. Now, I'm sure this female may have been hurt. Her feelings was hurt. She was a little emotional. However, when you are dating a black man and you're a white woman, you need to understand that sometimes your fucking feelings and your emotions have to take a fucking back seat to not cause harm to the person you are dating, that you love, that you are married to. And I'm not telling you that if you are truly in fucking danger, not to get help. But if you're just emotional, you're just pissed off, and you want to scream and hoop and holler, in public is not the time. Because that can turn out very deadly for the black man that you claim to love so much, whether you realize it or not. If you were just dating a white man and you were yelling, nobody would really pay any attention to that shit. But when people see a white woman and a black man and you're screaming, all hell will break loose. Because when white women cry, everybody responds. Even if the shit is stupid, even if it's frivolous, even if it's a lie. The most deadliest thing in this world are white women tears. I have said this time and time again, and I learned this very, very early in life. I grew up in the projects. I was raised by two wonderful black women that helped my mother raise me. So I know what I have witnessed, what I have experienced, and I know for a fact of what I speak. I learned very early in life that I could be a voice for my friends and my family because people would listen to me far more than they would listen to them. And if you listen to anything I have ever said to you on this app, if you are a white woman and you are dating a black man, you are in love with a black man, you are married to a black man, you need to know that you need to have his back and protect him at all costs, even if it is protecting him from you. Handle that shit at home if you are not in danger.
I respect what she's saying.
Now, this goes out to all the black men that want to be with Becky, and I'm going to say this one more time. I'm not de-policing you. There's a lot of you pro Becky's World channels that y'all be getting upset with me, but y'all don't want to talk about the racism that still exists in 2025. You don't want to talk about this. You just want to show constant pictures of black men with Becky, and I don't have a problem with that. But why don't you start advising some of your viewers that there's still racism in plenty of places in America? And a lot of those guys, their men don't like to see you with them, and that could possibly make your ass a target. Listen, I have stories of just working in a bookstore, and I remember this is over 20 years ago. I was working in a bookstore, and I was the cashier. I was by myself, and a bunch of these skinheads were about to come in there, and I grabbed my mace and I grabbed my hammer and I held it up, and they saw that I had a hammer, and they did not come in. They were like, "Let's go, let's go." Listen, I don't play around. There is still racism in America. There's still racism in America. Okay? There is still a lot of racism in America. There is sundown towns in America. If you don't know what a sundown town is, you need to look it up on YouTube. And some of these brothers, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm not telling you where to stick your penis in. I'm telling you that you need to have a little bit of knowledge of what you're doing when you're doing it. And where do you live? I live in a small city in New York State, and I found out they have a whole bunch of these white supremacists. A white guy showed me the video on a secret Facebook page. In my area, these dudes doing Nazi salutes and all this. You be surprised. I was just talking to my mother about an hour ago. I was telling her, you be surprised. These demons are literally everywhere. And y'all want to run around with Becky. Do you want to be a greater target? Are you aware of these issues? This is a white woman that said this. Emmett Till, a white woman's tears can get her men to come around, and they don't like us anyway. And the thought of one of us banging one of their women, you are going to be on the short end of the stick. This is just something to think about for all the emotional people who just think it's all about romance. We are still living in America. A lot of these white people are still racist as fuck, and they do not. A lot of them do not want to see us with their women. So you can hypnotize yourself with these videos. I'm not taking a swipe at anybody in particular, but you should also understand that there's rampant racism in America. And are you prepared to deal with these people? Are you prepared? Because I'm telling you, it's going to get worse. A lot of these people are emboldened by our current situation. And I'm going to leave it at that. And a lot of y'all think you're going to be walking around with these Beckies, and they hate you, and they hate her, and they have so many names for her that I can't say here. But I just, that's all I wanted to talk about. If you think that this is just all about romance, let me tell you something. All relationships, people argue. It doesn't matter if you are a black man with an Asian woman, a white woman, a Hispanic woman, a black woman. It doesn't matter. All couples argue. And if you yell at her and she starts yelling and screaming, and that could lead to your murder or arrest, even though you didn't put no hands on her, some of you need to rethink your lust for Becky. That's all I got.